Damon, okay, so you got nearly 14,000 subscribers. That's impressive. But you know what would be more impressive? If you did it without a camera, if you did it without a laptop computer, if you did it without this microphone or this processor over here. Could you do it without electricity? Do you think you could do your show on YouTube, Damon, without electricity? Because if you were really great at this, you'd be able to do it, just screaming it from your porch, and people would set up shop out in your front lawn and just listen to you sitting on a lawn chair. Like, that's ridiculous. Of course, no one says that. No one offers that up as a parameter of whether or not I'm good at what I do. But that's what they keep on saying about Kyle Shanahan. Or that's what they keep on saying about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, he's really good over here, but if you took him off this football team and you put him somewhere that isn't on a good football team, what happens? Well, something different would happen. The same way if you took electricity away from this show right now. Okay? There would be a much different show without electricity. Without me in this system, things change. All the talk of system kind of drives me nuts. It just feels like a lazy talking point. It just feels like low-hanging fruit that sounds like it's well-researched, that sounds like you've really thought about this. I just don't like the word system. What if we replace the word system in any and all football conversations with the word game plan? That sounds an awful lot more specific and tailored to today, for this team, against this team, and there is a tailoring to a game plan, where system just sounds like something that you could go and buy off the rack at a Walmart. Oh, you need to run a better, more efficient wardrobe? Well, just go pick up this system. This system will allow you to dress better. This system over here will allow you to cook better. This system over here will allow you to enjoy all the streaming shows that you enjoy better on your TV. It's a better system. You can install it anywhere, and instantly that place that installs it will run more efficiently and better. System sounds off the rack. System sounds like it could be installed everywhere. Uninstalled from somewhere and then installed somewhere else, and it's going to run the same way no matter where it is. System has kind of been a word that has been co-opted. Even though it has no negative connotation, it's been co-opted by a certain group of sports punditry that have now turned it into a negative situation. Without getting political, it's very much like the word liberal. The word liberal has no negative connotation to it. A liberal arts degree just means well-rounded degree. You're going to take a little bit from every tray on the buffet table here in college. That's what liberal arts is. Liberal just means a variety, more than just one way to do it. That's what it means, but it has been so co-opted, and it was really Rush Limbaugh who used the word liberal. I mean, he just made it sound bad, even though it really isn't. But it is framed in a way where it sounds like this word that does not have a positive or negative connotation to it now has this negative connotation to it. Liberal, system quarterback. That's what's kind of going on here. It's really odd. It's really odd. So if we replace the word system with game plan, it sounds much more tailored, and I think people would respect it an awful lot more. What if I told you that Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't run a great system, but what he has is a great game plan, and he tailors that game plan week in, week out. Now, this game plan happens to run better with Brock Purdy than it did with any other quarterback that he has had. So how that then makes Brock Purdy a system quarterback, I really do not know, because this suit, which is tailor-made, fits him better than it did the other guys that had wonky shoulders, or the sleeves were too long, or the cuffs weren't right. It's just ridiculous that there is a serious, beating drumbeat to a level of sports punditry where they want a fictitious, imaginary degree of difficulty baked into something before they're going to admit that that something is good or legitimate or has some staying power to it. It's crazy. It's as if everyone who covers football, maybe not everyone, but so many people who cover football, it's as if they've all decided that their imaginary parameters are more important to prove than what the actual goal of football teams has always been. Here's the goal of well-run football teams. Let's hire the best coach we can. Let's hire the best general manager we can. Let's make the best roster decisions we can to put the most talented roster together that is possible. That's the goal. That's the string. Everybody's pulling this way. And then there's this world of sports punditry is like, no. I want to see Brock Purdy in a much worse situation before I'm going to admit that he might be good at this. So basically, you're arguing that unless you can succeed in a poorly run operation, you might not be successful, or your success isn't predicated on what you do. It's like everyone's forgotten what the goal of sports is. The goal is hire the right people, hire the right free agents, make the right trades, avoid the bad contracts, and put it all together. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, and then you go and win stuff. That right there, those steps are so difficult in their own right to get right. The fictitious, imaginary other things that now a player needs to prove to me, it's just insane. And I don't know when this happened. I don't know when people started thinking like this. Maybe it really is, Skip Bayless. Maybe it is Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright and First Take and Stephen A. Smith. And instead of using their platforms to make sports conversation more intelligent, they've just dumbed it down to the lowest common denominator to appeal to the most casual idiot fans out there. I guess that's it. Maybe I just did explain it. I don't know. Hold on a second. That's the sip of the day right there. The system, the coffee system, the coffee game plan of today. When I put the water in the tea kettle, when I started boiling it, when I poured it over my French press, with the time that I put it down, I had the right system. It's as if I had been there before each and every morning, knowing how to do it. You're going to hold the coffee or me against it? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Damon, if your French press wasn't nearly as good as it was, your coffee wouldn't be so good in the morning. If your beans weren't as good as they are, your coffee is not going to be as good in the morning. If you had a bad offensive line, your quarterback isn't going to be as good as he is. If you have bad wide receivers, your Patrick Mahomes isn't going to win games like Patrick Mahomes anymore. How any of this avoids the category of no duh. I don't understand it. Like, people are bringing up points that I just have, my response is, well, no duh. Like, if Brock Purdy were a Carolina Panther, he wouldn't be nearly this good. No duh. If Kyle Shanahan were placed on a really bad team as head coach, I bet you they wouldn't be really this good. Go back to the first 2 years of him being the 49ers head coach. There's your experiment being run right there. And then what no one wants to give any Kyle credit for is taking a really, really bad NFL team and redoing the entire roster front to back and making it a really good NFL team. People want Kyle to have to go back to the drawing board of his first year and a poorly built team. And what are you going to do with them, Kyle? And if you bring that team to the Super Bowl and still come up short, then we'll criticize you that you didn't have enough to win a Super Bowl. It's just the moving of field goals at all times. I was thinking about this last night. I mean, you could tell I rolled one up and really started thinking. It's insane. Old Dirty Hungus. Damon, if you can't enjoy your sip of the day without spilling scalding hot coffee in your lap, then it's just not elite. Exactly. If you put Zach or Kevin Wilson, if you took either Wilson and you put him on the 49ers team, they would easily have 4 or 5 fewer wins. Brock is good. Now, if you put Brock right now on the New York Jets, would they have 4 or 5 more wins? Would he be succeeding in that system? Could you tailor a perfect game plan for him there? I don't know. Maybe the coach isn't as good. Maybe Saleh is more of a defensive guy than offensive guy, so it still wouldn't work for Purdy. Or maybe Purdy really does have translatable, absolutely going to work anywhere skill set, and that team, no matter what team he's on, would instantly get better. But that experiment can't be run. You can only be where you are, right? I mean, I think that that's physics, right? You can't occupy two spaces at once. And for that to be the crux of so many arguments, right? For that to be the, well, here's my big boy talking point. I'm going to tell you why what you think about football is wrong based on an imaginary scenario in my head that your guy has yet to qualify and prove. An experiment. I won't say your guy is good at what he does until you run an unrunnable experiment that only exists in an imaginary laboratory in my own head. What the f are we doing? Like, this is why I'm on YouTube now. This is why I am here. And I don't know how much of a great change it's going to make to the national sports conversation. Probably not at all, because in a world of, do you want it to be smart or do you want it to be dumb? It feels like we want it to be dumb. I don't. It's why I watch so little sports these days beyond the games themselves. I used to put on ESPN in the morning and wouldn't turn it off until nighttime. Now, I don't even come close to doing that. The only time I put on ESPN is if either a game is on or a team that I'm interested in happens to be playing a live sporting event. I don't stick around for any of these analysis. I don't stick around for any of these moronic, imaginary talking points when I guess what really pisses me off, what really, really pisses me off is that if we just covered what's actually happening, that should be interesting enough. If we just looked at what is actually happening, and this isn't just about the Niners, this is about any team covering it in the vacuum of its reality is interesting enough. Why we got to put all these imaginary bells and whistles and hypothetical bullshit questions attached to everything and everyone. And, 2 games into a career, does he remind you of Tom Brady? 2 games into his career, is he as good as Randy Moss? 2 games into his career, he's the next Reggie White. Just stop. Stop it. Stop it. Like, what the hell is everyone doing? And it's trickled down to the way people watch and consume sports, and it's ruining people's sporting experiences. I really think it is. Like, I had someone reach out in the comments, and let me tell you, I try to always reach back or at least like or heart or I'm just trying to be nice and cutesy in the comment section. It's good for the algorithm, okay? Just because I like something doesn't mean I endorse it. I'm just trying to make the system love me. But I had somebody after last game, say to me like, hey, this is a really good season and this is a really exciting year for the 49ers. But what I'm worried about is how they're going to go ahead and replace Trent Williams in the offseason. Because if they can't replace Trent Williams in the offseason, if he does retire, what are they going to do? How are they going to protect him? And I wrote back and I just said, what are you doing? The only person who should lose an ounce of sleep over that is John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, and neither of them are going to worry about that because that is an off season away. You're in a regular season in which you are 10-3 and you're trying to get a 1 seed and you want to go to the Super Bowl this year. Don't worry about the off season. Not yet. It's coming. There'll be a time to address it, but that time is not now. Who thinks like that? Who thinks like that other than someone who's been told, well, you need to think about everything like you're the general manager now. You can't just sit there and root for a team. You have to have general manager concerns and worries in order to really enjoy this. You need to be worried about Trent Williams' future more than you need to be worried about the 49ers beating the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are you doing as a fan? If that's really, I mean, if that was a really sincere, now some people are just trying to like have an intelligent sports conversation, and they want to go ahead and just sound like they're, an insider. So I'm going to ask a very heady question that sounds like I've been thinking deeply about. I'm really worried about Trent Williams. Don't be. Trent Williams isn't worried about his offseason. So you shouldn't be right now. It's nuts. It's just nuts. And I don't know why. I don't know how this happened. I don't. I don't know if there is like a catalyst moment, an event horizon. I got a lot of people trying to blame this on ESPN. I got people blaming it on hosts and naming hosts. Someone's like, Scott Van Pelt's good. I'll agree with you. Scott Van Pelt is good. But I don't know. I don't know when this happened. I don't know why this happened. And I don't know. I don't understand why people allowed this to happen. Why do people keep saying yes to shows that are built to be an annoyance and are built to what? Get clicked on or trend more than they're actually built on, like, hey, let's just talk about sports here and let's do it in a way that is borderline mature and is absolutely, hitting the bullseye more than just throwing darts at hypothetical questions. Well, what do you think of this? Well, what if this guy did that in this scenario and then wasn't drafted where he was, and then on a whole different team with another coach and a different roster, would he be the same guy? No, he wouldn't be the same guy. He wouldn't be exactly who he is here. The same way my marriage wouldn't be the same marriage if I weren't married to Jillian. Do you think your kids would be the same if you had them with a different woman? No, I don't. They would have different DNA, like a team that that had different draft picks and different rosters and different coaches and different players would have a different DNA. Do you think if your golden retriever were a dachshund, it would be the same dog? Come on back. We're going to discuss that after the break. Do people who like dog shows say stupid shit like that? I mean, that's like a competition. If you're really into dogs and breeding, like, do people say things like that? That's a really good wrinkly bloodhound, but would he be as wrinkly if he were, say, a Doberman? Does anybody have a logical conversation in the world of dog shows that is, I should have said illogical? Do we only have illogical conversations about the NFL because it suits them, or the NBA because it suits that master? I mean, maybe if the dog show was a $25 billion a year industry, you'd have to feed Big Dog Show and the beast of the belly at all times, and you would have to eventually get to the, if dachshunds weren't short and long, they really wouldn't be Dachshund Show. But did you want that show? Does anybody want that show? Is that show going to make anybody more intelligent or like dachshunds more or less? By the way, I'm pro-dachshund. I like dachshunds. Funny little wiener dogs. You can't find a dog that looks better in a sweater than a dachshund. You really can't.